The rig is out.
Because we're going on a trip.
And that means I get to talk about a subject that is near and dear to my heart.
Rachel.
Now, tire safety.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Joe.
And we are two crazy campers.
And after losing a combined weight of more than 200 pounds,
we realized we had so much more energy for activities.
Come along with us as we explore the great outdoors.
And join us on a brand new adventure. Now, wait a second. How is tire safety ahead of me?
Well, when it comes to riding in an RV, safety is the most important thing to me. And as we've discussed in other videos, at the very top of the safety list for me is tire safety. But when you think about it, like if you really put everything together in the grand scheme of things, I care about safety because I care about the people that are in the rig and in the tow vehicle. And since you're the person that's in there, I guess this video is about you.
Okay, so I should feel like I'm being prioritized here.
Yes.
Because we're going to arrive at our campsite safe.
Yes. So here's the thing, and again, we have talked about this in numerous videos. As a matter of fact, when we did our top 10 things that you need to buy if you're first buying a rig, I'll leave that video like right up here. This was number one, okay? We said you absolutely need to buy a TPMS system, which is a tire pressure monitoring system. And there were some people who said you don't really need one, but I'm gonna argue with them because I like to argue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I often want to prioritize cutesy things.
Right.
And you don't want to have to buy safety equipment because that's not as fun and as exciting. It's like buying toothpaste.
I'd rather have a new computer.
Right. Well, I don't want to buy toothpaste.
Right.
But I need to prioritize things like that.
Right.
Because it is an investment in the future.
Right. Okay, so here's the thing. If you go onto forums and into Facebook groups and all of these different things, you see everybody say China bombs. Do you know what a China bomb is?
It's a tire that you've purchased that's probably from China, and therefore the quality control may not be there and it may explode on you.
Yeah, now years ago there were some issues with some tires that came over from China, but I can tell you, as somebody who has been driving trailers since I was 15 years old, I've had 3 blowouts, actually 2 blowouts and another issue with the tire.
Okay.
Every one of them were my fault. And every one of those were probably some of the cheapest or China bombs that you could buy because they're on my landscape trailer and like I was just always buying inexpensive tires.
Yeah.
None of them were the fault of the tire. And we're talking about thousands of miles. And I know there are gonna be people who are right now who are gonna argue down in the comments section. But I believe, and again, this is just my opinion, that most of the China bomb explosions that you see posted on Facebook and stuff, they're a result of user error.
Well, I actually do trust what you're saying because you don't just drive a trailer recreationally.
Right.
But we drive a trailer for our landscaping business every single day of the year.
Yep, on highways and everything. Now, the reason I say it's user error because there's a lot of things you have to look at when you're driving a trailer, when you're driving, even in your car. You need to worry about what is the pressure in your tires? What is the temperature? Are you exceeding the speed rating of the tire? And that's a huge one. We see people all the time driving down the Florida Turnpike 75, 80 miles an hour. Well, most trailer tires are rated for 65 miles an hour or less. So now you're exceeding the speed rating, which is going to increase the temperature in the tire, which is going to then increase the pressure, which is going to go boom.
Yeah. Well, and something that we really noticed on our trip from Florida to New York in the early spring was the fact that there was such a difference in temperature.
Right.
So we would have it where it would start out in the day and like you'd have very, very low pressure. And then as we got further south, you were expanding that tire and it got hotter as the day went on. And now maybe you started out the day completely in the safe zone, but you needed to take a look at it later in the afternoon.
Yeah. Now the other thing that can affect your tires and cause blowouts would be road debris. And I really believe that those are the two things, road debris and failure for like owners to pay attention to like the age of a tire. That is huge. You know, trailer tires aren't like regular car tires. You may only use your rig a couple times a year and put 1,000 miles on them, but you shouldn't be using tires more than 3 to 5 years max. The sun is beating down on them, you've got the cold, they're developing flat spots, all of that matters. So now you've got road debris. Well, if you're driving 65, 70 miles an hour, you don't know if you've run over a nail and are slowly losing pressure.
No, it's not the same thing as when we've had a flat tire on our car and it's like sitting in the driveway and overnight, you've got this slow leak that shows you, okay, something's wrong, you've picked up a nail. But yeah, we could travel 1,000 miles and not even realize or think of, that we've run through a construction site and maybe picked something up.
Yep, now that's where tire pressure monitoring systems come in, because a TPMS is gonna do two things. Number one, it's going to tell you what is the temperature of your tires and also what is the pressure. It's going to alert you if you've got too high a pressure or too low pressure. But then the better ones are also going to let you know if you have a slow leak, which is you've hit a nail and you're slowly losing air. It's going to start alerting you, hey, you've got a slow leak, you need to go handle this. Because what happens is if you're driving on too low of a pressure, that's going to increase the temperature inside, which once again is going to result in a boom. Also, you may have a very fast leak, like all of a sudden you hit something and you got a giant gash. Well, a TPMS is going to let you know about that as well.
Well, what is interesting is the fact that any type of tire aggravation is an inconvenience. If you're on your way to work and you've got a tire issue and you need to pull over on the side of the road, it's inconvenient. No one wants to deal with it. You would like to head it off at the pass if you could. But let me tell you, if you've got a tire problem while you're towing an RV, it's more than just a minor inconvenience.
Yeah, if you're driving with one axle, you really got a problem because you're probably gonna have a rollover. But if you're driving with two axles, at minimum, you're dealing with a lot of damage. Have you guys ever seen the pictures of some of the damage? Like our friend who lives around the corner, he had a blowout. It ripped off the whole side fender. And there's an even bigger issue. Even though you really shouldn't, and I know I just want to cause aggravation and have negative comments down there, but the bottom line is a lot of people drive with their propane on. You really shouldn't, because it's a safety issue. Why? That propane line running to your refrigerator, this one right here, is right here under this wheel well. So if I have an explosion of a tire, that rubber, that metal, all of that stuff can go up, pierce my propane line, and cause a giant explosion on the trailer.
Yeah.
So TPMS is really important. Now, we have been using a TPMS system since we started driving in our different types of trailers, in both our pop-up as well as in Eleanor. Recently, though, the folks over at Innovation Tire reached out to us and asked us if we would like to, it's upside down, try out the TireMinder.
Absolutely.
So I do want to state, just for the video, to have full disclosure, that Innovation Tire did send us this to us for free, and there were no like, hey, we need to see the video first or anything like that, so they did give it to us for free. We're gonna go ahead and take this inside, we're gonna unbox it, show you everything that's in here, we're going to install it, I'm gonna do some checks on it, I'm gonna run it around, and then we're gonna give you our honest opinion on what we think of the TireMinder.
Woo, it's hot out there.
It is. Welcome to our Two Crazy Ketos set.
Yeah.
If you didn't know, we have another channel completely dedicated to the keto lifestyle. I'll leave a link for that channel right up here. Okay, so here's what we got. This is the TireMinder. This is the 120 PSI when I was looking for a model number on here. It is the i10-10 series. So one of the things that I really like about this compared to the one that we're currently using, which is the TST, is it's a nice little small unit. So the other one we have is much bigger, and it takes up a lot of real estate in my windshield, because the whole thing for me is I want to be able to see this thing. I want to, at a quick glance, be able to look over and see what's going on with my tires. So I like the fact that this is a little bit smaller, because I've already got that big, like, you know, rear view camera monitor in there. Okay, so let's see, what do we got in here? I'm gonna go ahead and open that up.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put this off to the side.
Get some zip ties. Ooh, we've got like a mount.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so we have a suction cup mount.
I'm always amazed at how good the suction cups are. I'm like, that's gonna hold up. It will. It's like amazing.
And this is just gonna clamp right into the back here. So that's good. And it's two-way adjustable. You can adjust it up and down and side, so that'll definitely work. We have a cigarette lighter plug. And this is a micro USB cable. That's to charge this. And then this is a repeater. And so this is gonna actually repeat the signal from the trailer up to the car. We got a bunch of batteries. And there's, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20 batteries.
Nice.
And that's good. So we got the 10 sensor system. So you can have up to 20 sensors with this. So no matter how many, tires you have on your rig, on your trailer. And the reason we got the 10 is we want to have the 4 on the car going as well as the 4 on the rig. And believe it or not, something I didn't even think about, but when I was talking to them over at Innovation Tire, they're like, you should probably cover your spare as well.
Oh, so you can see like where it's at. Okay,
and then you do have this little tool to have these little locking nuts on. And I think that's to, number one, make sure that these don't unscrew, but also so that people don't steal them. Honestly, they did come with my TST system, and I didn't bother with them because I want to be able to quickly unscrew and screw them back in and not go look for a tool. So let's go ahead and follow the instructions and put this together. Step 1, go install the repeater. Well, you know what? We're going to skip step 1.
You're skipping already?
I'm going to skip step 1. Because I got to do that outside. You don't want to be bothered with that. So after installing the booster, we're going to go ahead and install the batteries. So I've got you here, so I'm going to let you do that.
All right.
Or help with that. So I'll give you 5 of these.
Okay.
It's up to you to figure out how to do this. No instructions necessary.
I'm assuming I unscrew it here.
Yeah.
All right.
And it does say...
Off to a good start.
Let's see. Smooth side, positive side up. So next we're going to go from monitoring mode into the programming mode. And you do that by pressing and holding the left and right buttons for 5 seconds. But again, what's going to happen is if we do this right now, you're not going to know where each one goes.
Right.
So I think it's going to be better to... I'll take the camera outside. I will go install the repeater, and then we'll come back and set each one of these up.
Okay.
So it was a pretty simple install. You simply zip tie it to the frame. Now they give you these zip ties, and I don't like the look of the white. I just like the black on the black on the black. So I use these black ones I have, and I doubled it up just in case one of them were to fail. Now the instructions do say to point the antennas down at the ground. I don't know if they like repeat off of the ground or something like that, but I did what the instructions said. They do give you alligator clips here to connect to the battery. So you have your negative here and your positive over there. So for now, I'm just gonna use those alligator clips. If I like this, I'm gonna do what I did with the TST system, which is I had this little switch. This is the one that I just took off. And I went from the repeater to the switch. And then of course I do have a fuse on there. And then I went from the switch to the battery. And the purpose of this was to be able to shut them off whenever I don't want to use the repeater.
So I feel like the TireMinder has already saved us.
It did, because I never had a monitoring system on our spare tires. So as soon as we put that on there, it said that we had 22 PSI. And I would have never known until it was too late.
So imagine that you have a flat tire or a problem, and you need to use your spare tire. How aggravated are you going to be on the side of the road and your spare tire is worthless?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, we have an air tank like mounted under the truck, so we can fill up tires that are just low. But most people don't have that.
Right.
And again, I did not have a spare tire one with the other system because they are expensive, but now I see why you probably should be covering your spare tire as well.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead now. What you're going to need to do next, after you've got everything installed, and again, this was a super quick install. I mean, so easy, even Rachel could do it. What we're going to do is set up what our pressure is that we want to be monitoring. So the way you're going to do that is there's a little button here in the middle. We're going to go ahead and press and hold that. And the first thing it's going to do is it's going to flash PSI, and you're going to set if you want to have that as PSI or if you wanted to have it in the bar setting. I'm using PSI, that's what I like. And then also the temperature as well, so you can change it from Fahrenheit to Celsius. Then when you press it again, you're going to have your first tire is going to be flashing, and right now it's at 75, and I like to keep my truck tires at 80. So we're gonna press it again, and we're just gonna set them all my truck tires to 80. Then you're gonna do the same thing down on the trailer tires. So I'm gonna go ahead and mount this up on the windshield. And then what we're gonna do is, we've got a trip coming this weekend. We're gonna run the whole trip with this, and then we're gonna come back at the end of the trip. We're gonna let you guys know what we think of the TireMinder. So this is pretty interesting. This right here is where I had my TST. This is the TST one. And you can see again, I have this wire that I hardwired this into the car. I found an adapter that goes 12 volt to USB, and then I could just hardwire it. And I actually have it wired into these uplifter switches. I think it's on number 2 if I remember right. I'm not sure, I have the truck off right now. But what's really interesting is it uses the same mount. So again, this is the tstTruck one. This is the TireMinder one. It's the same mount, so I don't even have to change out the mount. Okay, so as I was putting this on, and I don't think you're gonna be able to see because of the way the screen is gonna flicker, but something I was concerned about with the TireMinder that I was gonna say is a negative, but I've now learned is actually not a negative. This little button up on the top, if you press it, right now I'm showing all of my PSI, 75, 82, 80, 84, 76, 76, 75, 75, and then 22 on that spare. If you press that middle button one time, it's gonna show you the temperatures. So we've got 87, 89, 93, 89, 91, 89, 111, and 109. Now, here's the interesting part is these are the truck tires, and they are right now facing direct sun. Okay.
What is going on behind us? Are we going to go see the Wizard of Oz? Should I be following Yellow Brick Road?
I would say it matches the box, but that had nothing to do with it. Hey, we normally have purple back there because of our keto channel, but the colors of our camping channel is green. So I turned on the green light, but I didn't realize it was going to reflect that color green off of the gray paper.
I like it. It's like Emerald City.
Let's talk about the TireMinder.
Yes.
Okay, so we've been using this TireMinder for about 6 weeks. We replaced our old tire pressure monitoring system with the TireMinder, and I want to talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, so what did you like about it?
Okay, there's actually a lot of things. I'm going to put this off to the side. There's a lot of things that I like about the TireMinder. Probably the biggest thing I like is the fact that I can see all of my different tires at one time. So when I turn it on, first of all, that's another thing. When I first turn it on, it's almost instant. Whereas the one that I was using before, and we're actually going to compare them towards the end of this video. So make sure you watch it all the way to the end because we're going to compare it to the other company. But I would turn on the other one and it took a good 3, 4, 5 minutes for it to actually show up. It just flashed that it doesn't have any readings. This one, as soon as I turn it on, it's immediately reading all of my tires.
Yeah, because meanwhile, we are 3 or 4, 5 minutes down the road before it actually shows us that it's on. Can I say what I like? I actually like that this doesn't take up a lot of real estate on your dashboard.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
But even from the passenger seat, I can see the numbers.
Yeah.
So it's really good in what it displays.
Well, that's the other thing I like about it. So with this one, I can quickly glance and see 10 tires at once. And there's different setups you can have. So the way I have it set up is I have these outer ones here are actually my camper. And then the inner ones are the truck. So, and then because I can have 10, I have the 2 spares on there.
Which is really nice.
So it's really nice to be able to, at a quick glance, see everything as opposed to it kind of cycling through and then I've got to pay attention to. And again, we'll compare it to the other company at the end. The other thing, this was really easy to set up. It was literally like just take it out, take the little sensor, screw the sensor on, and it immediately picked it up and put it like you can. All you do is program right where it goes, like which tire you're on. But much easier to set up than the other company we had.
I actually thought he was doing it wrong. I don't know why I questioned your installation, but I was like, this is too easy.
Yeah.
Too easy. Okay, so let's get into the more juicier stuff, which is what do you not like about it?
There's actually a few things I don't like about this. With that being said, you definitely want to watch to the end, again, when we compare it to the other ones, so you can find out which one I'm actually going to use.
Ooh.
Because there are quite a few things I don't like about this one.
All right.
Okay, so the biggest one that I don't like, and this is going to be nitpicky for most people.
Okay,
but it's using a USB connection. And you get a cigarette lighter. But I don't like cables going all throughout my truck. So I purchased an adapter that I could hardwire into the 12-volt system of my truck, and I have it actually wired to the switches over my head so I can turn it off and on. And then that goes to the USB plug that's on here. And what I like to do is, if I'm just driving around in my truck without a trailer, I don't really care about that. So I want to be able to turn it off. So I would normally flip that switch and it would turn it off. With this one, that doesn't happen. So all I'm doing when I flip the switch is turn off the power supply to this, but this unit will stay on because it has a battery in it. So it's a small thing, but what happens is I jump out of my truck constantly and quickly and forget to turn it off. And then what happens is I get back in the truck and my truck's not hooked up to the trailer, and all of a sudden starts beeping because it can't detect any of the tires back there.
I see. Because I was thinking, wouldn't you want to, monitor your truck tires? But you're saying that it's going to start alerting you that something is wrong.
Because I don't have the camper tires
connected
near
all
me.
the time.
So again, that's a little thing. Another thing that I don't like about this one is you can't set the alerts.
Oh.
So when you get this, you're going to set what pressure do you want to have at your tires. And after that, that's it. You don't set anything else. You can't say, like, if it gets to this level, alert me. If it gets to this high of a temperature, alert me.
Wow.
And I didn't want to screw this up, so I've got the manual here. Here is what it's going to tell you. If you have a rapid leak, which is a pressure loss of 3 psi or more in less than 2 minutes. So maybe you hit a piece of glass that gashed the side of your tire and you lose 3 psi just like that.
Right.
Okay. It's important to know that.
Yes, it is.
Because that's going to allow you to pull over, because if you continue to run like that, that's where you're going to have a blowout. And if you lose your air really quickly, that's where the tire starts shredding. And now, again, if that's on the same size of your propane, you could be puncturing your propane lines. It'll alert you of a slow leak, which is if it gets a pressure loss of 6 psi or more over 2 to 10 minutes. So you hit a nail and it's slowly losing pressure. Again, that's where you want to pull over, fix the problem so that you can prevent a blowout. That's how this is going to help you prevent a blowout.
Yeah.
It's going to let you know if you have a low pressure. And again, you can't set what you consider low pressure. So, for example, this is saying pressure loss of 15% or more of the baseline pressure. It's going to let you know of high pressure, which is a 20% increase. So let's say you have your thing set for 100 psi on your tires. If you get to 121, it's going to start telling you you've got too much pressure.
Which you want.
And it's also going to let you know of high temperature. And the high temperature, again, you can't set it. It's if you go over 167 degrees.
So you might want to set it for something different.
You can't set it for something different. It's
wow.
That's when it goes over 167, that's where it's going to start alerting you. So that is something that I don't like, that you can't set all of that. The one other thing that I don't like about the TireMinder is that it's nice that I can see all my tires, but I can't see the temperature. You have to choose. Either see the pressure or see the temperature. Now, it's a simple click of a button. Just press that button and it immediately switches back and forth. But again, that's a little thing. To me, pressure is more important than temperature. It's going to alert me if my temperature goes really high. Historically, I noticed that my temperatures don't raise too much if you keep the correct pressure in there.
So you're saying that even if you are focused on the pressure, if there's a temperature disruption, it will beep.
It will beep if you get too high of a pressure. You just can't see them at the same time. Whereas our other one, you were able to see both the temperature and the pressure at the same time. This one, you have to make a decision of which one.
So what about the other tire pressure?
Let's talk about that. So here's the one we were using. We were using the tstTruck. Oh, another big pro. This one, it kind of goes on the comparison, much cheaper.
Okay, I like that.
Much cheaper.
Value is good.
Like, much cheaper. Now, we actually have a coupon code down below. It's 2crazycampers. And if you use the link down below with the code 2crazycampers, you're going to save an additional $20 off of your order.
I like that.
Okay, so let's compare it. Okay, so here's the TST. This is what I was using. I'm going to tell you what I liked about the TST compared to this.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell you which one I'm using now. So when I turn on the TST, this one has an on-off switch. If I provide this with power, even with the switch off, it turns on. So if I plug it in to that same, because it uses the same power cord, and I flip my uplifter switch.
All right.
Even if this is in the off position, this will turn on.
Oh, wow.
Which means, because I have my uplifter switch connected to my ignition switch, which means when I turn off my ignition, this would turn off. Whereas with this one, when I turn off my ignition, it stays on unless I press and hold that power button.
Okay.
Again, I forget to turn things off. One of the biggest things that I yell at you about is stop messing with your headlamp switch, right?
Yes.
Leave it on auto. If you have that, do you have that in your car where you have an auto headlamp?
I can't stand that.
Leave it on auto. When it gets dark, it turns on. When it gets night, when it gets light out, it turns off. And it also helps you if you have it on auto, because when it starts raining, if it gets too dark, it automatically turns on your headlight.
Drives me nuts.
That switch is there so that you don't have to forget to turn off your headlights.
It's good.
Same thing with this. I like turning off my ignition switch and knowing immediately this thing is turning off and it's not sucking up power or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so little thing. On the TST one, if I turn it back on, you have your whole setup. It's like basically two different trailers, whereas this is just like you only see one thing. This one you can see two different things. So you can have truck and trailer. And so you can see all of your tires. However, this is only going to show you one tire at a time.
Which can be frustrating.
Right. So it's going to show you,
see everything.
at a quick glance, I'm going to see the temperature and I'm going to see the pressure.
Of one tire.
But of one tire. Now, again, I know it's hard for you to see. I'll try to put a close-up of it. But there's a little, if you look on here, see that little blinking thing?
Yeah.
That's the tire it's currently on.
Oh my goodness.
So you're going to see this big number of, say, 80 PSI and, say, 85 degrees. But now you've got to squint and figure out which tire is that, because it's cycling through all of the tires.
Oh, and by the way, you're driving while this is going on, and you're driving with a train behind you.
Right. So, like, again, you get to see the pressure and the temperature all at one time, but only one tire at a time.
Okay, I don't like that.
So that's kind of like a downside of like this compared to this. The biggest thing I like about this is the power button. Also, this one here, you can see, now I actually have one of the TST pieces right here. It still hasn't connected.
Even though it's right there.
This unit seems to take about 5 minutes from when I turn it on to start connecting to my hub. So now I, again, don't want to drive away until I know my tires are good. So I generally have to go out, turn on the car, or at least get this thing going, wait about 5 minutes till all of the tires show up. Or I could go out with a tire pressure gauge, but again, then what's the point?
Right.
I want to be able to quickly glance. So this one takes a long time to connect to the sensors as opposed to this one. This one connects right away. This one takes a long time. Also, this one's a lot bigger.
Takes up more space.
So you can see they're pretty much, this one is like slightly taller. And I mean only slightly. But the other one is much longer.
Well, and
so it takes up more room in your windshield.
Dashboard real estate is important.
Yeah.
We've got a lot going on there.
Yep. Now, on the positive note, this one you can set everything. You can set your temperature, like what your allowances are. You can set your pressures, what your high pressure is, what your low pressure. So this is a lot more customizable. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if you necessarily need to customize. If you're every once in a while going up and glancing at this, you're going to notice like, hey, my pressure is going down. And that's the more important thing. Like everybody's going to notice the pressure jumping up 15, 20 PSI. What you want to see is, my pressure was 75 before and now it's 72. Did I hit something? Let me pull over and check. Because the low pressure is where the temperature, when your pressure goes down, that's where your temperature goes up, and that's what's going to cause a blowout.
Well, and I think, again, the fact that you can see all of the tires at once, that's what you're going to do. You're going to be, like, taking a glance and seeing, like, do I see a big change?
Yep.
And when you see them all compared to one another, you're going to really notice, like, 80, 80, 80, 60. Oh, my gosh.
Right.
Like, you can stop right there.
You can also see that the TireMinder is much thinner too. I mean, a lot thinner. I mean, there's a whole bezel here on the back. So I want to say almost a ½ an inch thinner for the TireMinder. And finally, price-wise, this one I only have 4 tires because I couldn't afford it.
Right.
Okay. So this one, again, exact price I don't remember. It's about $420 for this one.
Okay.
For 4 tires. This one is like $230.
For how many tires?
For 4 tires.
Wow.
So I got with this one, we got the 10 tire setup on this one.
How much was that?
$420.
So wow.
This one
about the same.
$630 for 4 tires. For 10 tires.
Oh my gosh.
So again, it's
That's
a good idea to
consideration.
do not only your trailer, but your truck as well. I mean, we have built-in TPMS on our truck, but here's the problem with the built-in one. The built-in one only alerts you when there's a problem, unless you're actually watching it on your little dashboard. Ours does not just display up there all the time what our tire pressures are unless you go to that screen. And usually on your screen, you have like your odometer or your speedometer or maybe your trailer lights or something like that. You have to choose what you want to look at. So I like having them on my truck when I'm on my, with the trailer. And with this one, we just couldn't afford. That was like another $200 for, like 6 more of them.
Well, and I don't mind putting money into safety features,
Yep.
and buying the best. So
Yep.
if, we have a Hensley hitch.
Yep.
Those aren't cheap.
Yep.
But I don't mind putting the money into it because it's the best.
Yeah.
But when I don't see that this is like a super, forerunner to this, then it's like, I don't want to spend double the money
Now,
for not great.
I definitely always want to have the best. And when it comes to the tire pressure monitoring systems, I feel the same way. I mean, and I do all of the driving, so this is the thing that I'm really staring at, and I'm always conscious of where again is my pressures and everything else. When it comes to these two, you can't go wrong with either one.
Have
I
something.
think they're both really good. I would not get into the $50 ones that you see advertised on Amazon. Having used both of these for a long time, I mean, I used this one for, 8 months, and we've used this one for about 6 weeks. I really don't see a difference other than the little nitpicky things that we've talked about. And that's just preferences. And of course, the price. So because of that, and again, we own them both. So I can't even let price play into this for me.
Right.
Because I own them both. Because there's not a huge difference, I'm going with the TireMinder instead of the TST. And the reason is even though this has some negatives for me, the positives on this one outweigh the negatives. So the things that are on here that I like the on-off switch and the fact that I can turn off my ignition and it turns off, that's a nice feature, but it doesn't outweigh the fact that I can see all 10 tires at once.
I can totally agree with that.
Does that make sense? So in the end, get something. That's what I'm going to say. You need to get something. Tire safety is super important. Now, are either one of these going to stop you from having a blowout if you have tread separation? No. Are either one of these going to let you know that, hey, your tire is 10 years old and you shouldn't be driving on it? No. What they're going to let you know is, hey, you ran over a nail, you hit a piece of glass, you didn't check your temperature ahead of time, or you didn't check your pressure ahead of time and it's a little too low. They're not the end all and be all. They're another safety level so that you can try to avoid things. Blowouts are inevitable when it comes to hitting a pothole or something like that. There's not much you can do about that. You just have to be aware and try to avoid the road hazards.
I just understand that, there are tornadoes in life that happen. And I mean, it's a storm that does significant damage, right? The most early amount of warning that I can have before the tornado hits, I would like that.
Right.
I would like that information. I feel like we're going to do our due diligence to try our best to make sure that our tires are in good shape. We're going to use common sense about their age and condition visually. When I look at them, what's going on, it looks like they're okay. But this is that second layer of protection for your family to see what more of the story is going on inside of the tires.
Yeah, and I'm sure there is somebody out there right now going, I don't need to spend that kind of money. And you're right. It's up to you. We also don't need to have insurance on our trailers, but we do. Why? Just in case, right? It comes for me down to this. The $300 or $500 or whatever you spend on this, is your family's safety worth that little bit of money? For me, the answer is yes. In the grand scheme of things, you're probably driving around in a $20, $30, $40, $50, $100, $200,000 rig. What's $300 when you compare it to that? If you got one that had a garbage can, you probably paid $150 for a $4 garbage can. Right? So in the end, it's like there's no price on safety for me. I'm gonna use this one over this one. I like the features. I think it's great. And again, if you don't have one, it's significantly cheaper. I mean, significantly. I mean, we're not talking about 20 bucks. We're talking about this setup, okay, that I have for this is $200 cheaper buying the TireMinder, and I get the same exact results.
You could get 2 garbage cans.
I could get 2 garbage cans.
In your trailer.
Well, that is going to be today's video. Let us know down in the comment section if you do have a TPMS system. Let us know which one you have. And if you don't have one, I'm curious why you don't have one and like if you've ever had any kind of blowouts or anything like that. Now, if you like seeing videos like this, please do us a favor. Hit that like button down below because it really does help build the channel, but it also lets us know what type of videos you like to see. And again, don't forget, if you are interested in getting one of these, there's a link down below along with a coupon code of 2 crazy campers that will get you $20 off. While you're down there, make sure you hit the subscribe button on the videos.
And don't forget to hit the bell button, and that way every single time we upload a new video, you'll be alerted to it.
Until next time, happy camping.